Picture this. You're standing at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza, craning your neck to take in its impossible scale. 4,500 years ago, ancient Egyptian workers supposedly hauled 2.5 million stone blocks, some weighing 15 tons each, across the desert and assembled them into what was the tallest structure on Earth for nearly 4 millennia. And they did it all without cranes, without machinery, without even the wheel for transportation. But here's what the history books don't tell you. The precision of this monument defies everything we know about ancient capabilities. The base is level to within just 2 centimeters. The sides are oriented to true north, with an accuracy that rivals modern surveying equipment. The internal chambers contain acoustic properties that suggest knowledge of advanced physics principles that weren't supposed to be discovered until the 20th century. Welcome to ConspiraNap, where strange theories and whispered secrets help curious minds drift into sleep. Before we begin, I'd love to ask a small favor. If you enjoy quiet journeys into the unknown, consider subscribing now. You might be asleep before the video ends, but this way, you won't miss what comes next. And while you're still with me, let me know in the comments. Where in the world are you listening from? What time is it on your side of reality? Midnight in the city, or AM under the stars? I love reading where these stories find you. Now settle in, close your eyes if you'd like, and let your mind drift beyond what we're told, into the strange, the hidden, and the almost forgotten. Tonight, we're diving deep into one of humanity's most enduring mysteries. Did our ancestors possess lost technologies that we've only recently rediscovered? Or does the evidence point to something far more extraordinary? Something that would completely rewrite our understanding of human history and our place in the universe. My name is Marcus Reed, and for the past 15 years, I've been investigating anomalies that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge. I've crawled through hidden passages beneath the Sphinx, analysed mysterious chambers using ground-penetrating radar, and studied construction techniques that shouldn't have been possible with Bronze Age tools. What I've uncovered will challenge everything you think you know about the ancient world. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you evidence that suggests the Great Pyramid wasn't just built by ancient Egyptians. We're going to explore technologies that were supposedly lost to time, examine construction methods that modern engineers struggle to replicate, and investigate theories that most academics won't even discuss in public. And at the end, I'll reveal the one piece of evidence that convinced me we're not getting the whole story about who really built these monuments. But first, let me tell you about the phone call that changed everything. 3 months ago, I received a call from Dr. Sarah Chen, a quantum physicist at MIT who'd been studying the pyramid's internal geometry. Her voice was shaking as she described calculations that kept her awake for weeks. The mathematical relationships embedded in the pyramid's dimensions, she told me, encoded knowledge of the Earth's physical properties that wasn't officially discovered until the age of satellites and GPS technology. The pyramid's height multiplied by 43,200 equals the polar radius of the Earth. Its base perimeter multiplied by the same number equals the equatorial circumference. These aren't approximations. They're precise to decimal places that would require measurement techniques far beyond what we believe ancient civilizations possessed. Dr. Chen's question haunted me. How did builders 4,500 years ago know the exact dimensions of our planet? That conversation sent me down a rabbit hole of research that has consumed my life for months. Because Dr. Chen's discovery wasn't isolated. It was part of a pattern of impossibilities that archaeologists have been quietly documenting for decades, but rarely discuss publicly. The implications are too radical, too threatening to established historical narratives. Let's start with the most basic question. How was the Great Pyramid actually built? The official story says that 20,000 workers using copper tools, wooden ramps, and rope quarried, transported, and assembled over 2 million stone blocks in just 20 years. That means they had to cut, move, and perfectly position one block every 2 minutes, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 2 decades straight. But here's where that explanation falls apart. The blocks weren't just stacked randomly. Each one was cut to fit its exact position, with tolerances measured in millimeters. The joints between stones are so tight that you can't slide a knife blade between them. This level of precision requires technology that didn't officially exist until the industrial age. I've spoken with master stonemasons who've spent their entire careers working with modern diamond-tipped tools and laser guidance systems. They tell me that replicating the pyramid's construction accuracy would challenge even today's capabilities. Yet we're supposed to believe ancient workers achieved this using primitive hand tools and eyeball measurements. The evidence for advanced technology doesn't stop there. Core samples taken from the pyramid's blocks show drill marks that could only have been made by high-speed rotary tools. The spiral patterns in the granite cores indicate drilling speeds that wouldn't be achieved by human civilization until the invention of modern industrial machinery. These aren't theories or speculation, they're physical evidence that you can examine under a microscope. Christopher Dunn, a master machinist with 40 years of experience in precision manufacturing, has analysed these core samples extensively. His conclusion is unambiguous. The ancient Egyptians possessed machine tools that were superior to anything used in modern construction. The precision of their cuts, the uniformity of their surfaces, and the speed of their drilling operations all point to technology that we've only recently developed. But the technological anomalies extend far beyond construction techniques. The pyramid's internal chambers display acoustic properties that suggest knowledge of harmonic frequencies and resonant engineering. When you speak or clap inside the king's chamber, the sound resonates at a frequency of 110 Hz, which modern neuroscience has shown to be the exact frequency that temporarily shuts down the language centers of the human brain, inducing altered states of consciousness. Was this intentional? Did the pyramid's builders understand the neurological effects of specific sound frequencies? And if so, how did they acquire this knowledge thousands of years before the invention of electronic instruments capable of measuring brainwave patterns? The positioning of the pyramid itself reveals another layer of impossibility. It's located at the exact center of the Earth's landmass, equidistant from all continents. The structure sits on the longest land parallel and the longest land meridian. This placement would require global mapping capabilities that didn't officially exist until the age of satellite photography. Yet somehow, ancient builders chose the one location on Earth that perfectly balanced their monument at the center of all dry land. Even more puzzling is the pyramid's relationship to other ancient sites around the world. Draw a line from Giza to Machu Picchu, and it passes directly through Easter Island and several other mysterious megalithic sites. Extend that line further, and it intersects with ancient monuments on every continent. The mathematical precision of these alignments suggests a coordinated global construction project that would have required communication and navigation technologies far beyond what we believe ancient civilizations possessed. I've spent weeks plotting these connections on detailed maps, and the pattern is undeniable. Whoever built these sites was working from a master plan that encompassed the entire planet. This wasn't the work of isolated ancient cultures developing independently. It was a unified project that required global coordination and advanced surveying capabilities. The construction timeline itself presents another impossibility. Egyptian records from the 4th dynasty describe the pyramid being completed in just 20 years under Pharaoh Khufu's reign. But modern construction estimates, even using current technology, suggests the project would require at least 40 years to complete. How did ancient builders accomplish in 2 decades what would challenge us for twice as long with modern equipment? The mathematical precision embedded in the pyramid's design suggests knowledge that extends far beyond basic engineering. The structure encodes the value of pi to 15 decimal places, the golden ratio, and the speed of light in meters per second. These aren't coincidences or approximations. They're exact mathematical relationships that wouldn't be officially discovered by human civilization until thousands of years later. Dr. Chen's research revealed that the pyramid's dimensions also encode the Fibonacci sequence, advanced trigonometric relationships, and even quantum mechanical constants that weren't supposed to be understood until the 20th century. The builders didn't just construct a tomb, they created a three-dimensional mathematical textbook that preserved advanced knowledge for future generations to discover. The internal chambers reveal additional technological mysteries. The so-called King's Chamber contains a granite sarcophagus that was carved from a single block of stone with an internal precision that defies conventional explanation. The walls are perfectly smooth, the corners are exactly 90 degrees, and the dimensions follow mathematical ratios that appear throughout the pyramid's design. Creating such precision with hand tools would be impossible even for modern craftsmen. But perhaps the most intriguing evidence comes from the pyramid's missing capstone. Historical records suggest the structure was originally topped with a pyramidion made of electrum, a gold-silver alloy that would have created a brilliant beacon visible from vast distances. Recent analysis of the pyramid's electrical properties suggests this capstone may have functioned as more than mere decoration. The pyramid's limestone blocks contain high concentrations of quartz crystal, which generates piezoelectric effects when subjected to pressure. The structure's geometry creates a natural resonance chamber that could amplify electromagnetic fields. With a conductive capstone, the entire pyramid may have functioned as a massive antenna or energy transmission device. This would explain why ancient texts describe the pyramid as a source of power that could be seen glowing in the darkness. Modern experiments have confirmed that the pyramid's shape naturally focuses electromagnetic energy at specific points within its structure. The King's Chamber sits at the exact focal point of these energy concentrations, suggesting the room was designed to harness and amplify these forces. What the ancient builders intended to do with this energy remains one of the pyramid's greatest mysteries. The precision of the pyramid's construction becomes even more remarkable when you consider the tools supposedly available to its builders. Copper implements would have been too soft to cut granite effectively. Bronze tools wouldn't be invented until centuries later, yet the pyramid contains granite blocks that were cut, shaped, and positioned with an accuracy that challenges modern capabilities. Independent researcher Brian Forster has documented tool marks on pyramid stones that don't match any known ancient technology. The cuts are too straight, too uniform, and too precise to have been made by hand tools. Some blocks show evidence of high-temperature cutting that would require industrial-grade equipment. The physical evidence suggests the builders possess technologies that we've only recently developed. The transportation of the pyramid's massive stones presents another technological puzzle. The limestone blocks were quarried locally, but the granite components came from Aswan, over 500 miles upriver. Moving 15-ton granite blocks across that distance would require sophisticated logistics and engineering capabilities. Ancient texts describe the stones being lifted by the breath of the gods, but provide no technical details about how this was accomplished. Recent analysis of the pyramid's foundation reveals another impossibility. The structure sits on bedrock that was leveled to within centimeters of perfect flatness across 13 acres. Achieving this precision would require modern surveying equipment and earth-moving machinery. The foundation work alone represents an engineering feat that shouldn't have been possible with ancient technology. The pyramid's internal passages contain additional evidence of advanced capabilities. The Grand Gallery, a soaring corridor that leads to the King's Chamber, demonstrates mastery of corbelled ceiling construction that wasn't supposed to be developed until much later in architectural history. The precision of the stonework and the mathematical relationships between the passage dimensions suggest knowledge of advanced engineering principles. But here's where the mystery deepens even further. The Great Pyramid isn't unique. Similar megalithic structures exist on every continent, all displaying impossible precision and advanced construction techniques. Sacsayhuaman in Peru contains stones weighing over 100 tons that were cut and fitted with tolerances, measured in fractions of inches. The builders somehow transported these massive blocks up mountainsides and positioned them with crane-like precision. Easter Island's Moai statues were carved from volcanic rock, using techniques that remain unexplained. The precision of their features and the uniformity of their construction suggest standardized production methods that wouldn't be developed until the industrial age. Yet these monuments were created by isolated Pacific Island cultures with no known contact with advanced civilizations. The pattern repeats across the globe. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey predates the pyramid by 6,000 years, yet displays construction techniques that challenge our understanding of prehistoric capabilities. The site's massive stone pillars were carved with intricate reliefs and assembled with precision that shouldn't have been possible for hunter-gatherer societies. These sites share common characteristics that suggest a unified construction methodology. All use massive stone blocks fitted with impossible precision. All demonstrate knowledge of advanced mathematics and astronomy. All contain acoustic properties that suggest understanding of harmonic frequencies. And all were built by cultures that supposedly lack the technology to achieve such precision. The evidence is mounting that we're not getting the complete story about ancient human capabilities. Either our ancestors possessed technologies that were lost to time, or they received assistance from sources that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge. The precision, the scale, and the mathematical sophistication of these monuments suggest knowledge that extends far beyond what we believe ancient civilizations could achieve. But the most compelling evidence may be hiding in plain sight, encoded in the very dimensions of the structures themselves. The mathematical relationships embedded in these monuments preserve knowledge that took human civilization thousands of years to rediscover. It's as if the builders were leaving us a message, a testament to capabilities that we've only recently begun to understand. The question that haunts me is simple. How did they know? How did ancient builders possess knowledge that we've only recently acquired? And perhaps more importantly, what other secrets are these monuments still keeping from us? The implications of these discoveries become even more staggering when we examine the pyramid's internal geometry through the lens of modern physics. Dr. Chen's calculations revealed that the chamber dimensions create standing wave patterns that match the resonant frequencies of the Earth itself. The King's Chamber vibrates at 110 Hz, which corresponds to the planet's fundamental frequency, also known as the Schumann resonance. This isn't coincidence. The builders somehow understood that our planet generates specific electromagnetic frequencies, and they designed the pyramid to harmonize with these natural rhythms. But here's what should keep you awake at night. The Schumann resonance wasn't officially discovered until 1952, when physicist Winfried Otto Schumann proved that electromagnetic waves bounce between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere at predictable frequencies. Yet the pyramid's chambers were tuned to these exact frequencies 4,500 years ago. How did ancient builders know about electromagnetic phenomena that wouldn't be understood by modern science until the atomic age? The answer might lie in the pyramid's most mysterious component, the missing capstone. Ancient texts describe this pyramidion as being made of electrum, a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver that possesses unique electrical properties. When I consulted with material scientists about electrum's conductive capabilities, they explained that this metal combination creates an ideal antenna for electromagnetic transmission. Picture the complete pyramid in its original state. A massive stone structure filled with quartz crystals, topped with a conductive metal capstone, sitting on bedrock that's been precisely leveled to create optimal electrical contact with the Earth. The entire monument would have functioned as a gigantic electrical device, capable of harnessing and transmitting energy on a scale that we're only beginning to understand. This theory gains credibility when we examine the pyramid's location. Giza sits on one of the Earth's most electrically active regions, where underground water channels create natural electrical currents. The pyramid's base alignment with magnetic north ensures optimal interaction with the planet's magnetic field. Every aspect of the structure's design seems calculated to maximize its electrical properties. But if the pyramid was designed as an electrical device, what was its purpose? Ancient Egyptian texts provide tantalizing clues. They describe the pyramid as a source of power that could light up the darkness, heal the sick, and even enable communication across vast distances. These accounts were dismissed as a mythology until modern experiments began confirming the pyramid's electrical capabilities. Independent researcher Christopher Dunn has proposed that the pyramid functioned as a power plant, converting the Earth's natural vibrations into usable energy. His analysis of the internal chambers suggests they were designed to amplify specific frequencies through harmonic resonance, creating a sustainable energy source that could operate indefinitely without fuel or maintenance. The Grand Gallery, with its precisely angled walls and acoustic properties, would have served as a resonance chamber, amplifying vibrations throughout the structure. The King's Chamber, positioned at the pyramid's electrical focal point, would have been the primary power generation room. The missing capstone would have transmitted this energy wirelessly to receivers positioned throughout the ancient world. This explanation accounts for many of the pyramid's mysterious features. The precision of its construction wasn't just architectural perfectionism, it was engineering necessity. The slightest misalignment would have disrupted the electrical circuits. The mathematical relationships weren't decorative. They were functional specifications for an advanced technological device. But here's where the story takes an even stranger turn. Similar electrical anomalies have been detected at megalithic sites worldwide. Stonehenge generates measurable electromagnetic fields that fluctuate with astronomical alignments. The stone circles of Scotland exhibit electrical properties that activate during specific seasonal events. Machu Picchu's precisely cut stones create electrical circuits that still function after centuries of abandonment. These sites weren't just monuments, they were components of a global electrical grid. The mathematical alignments between them weren't ceremonial. They were functional connections in a worldwide energy transmission network. Ancient builders didn't just understand local construction techniques, they possessed knowledge of planetary electrical systems that we're only beginning to comprehend. The evidence becomes even more compelling when we examine the pyramid's relationship to other ancient technologies. Egyptian texts describe flying vehicles called boats of the gods that could travel between Earth and the heavens. These weren't metaphorical descriptions. They were technical specifications for aircraft that required advanced power sources to operate. The pyramid's electrical output would have been sufficient to power such vehicles. The structure's alignment with stellar coordinates suggests it may have served as a navigation beacon for aerial traffic. The internal chamber's acoustic properties could have provided communication systems for pilots approaching from great distances. This interpretation explains why pyramid construction suddenly ceased around 2500 BCE. The builders didn't abandon the technology because they lost interest. They stopped because they achieved their objective. The global electrical grid was complete, and the infrastructure was in place to support whatever purpose these monuments were designed to serve. But who possessed this knowledge? The official timeline of human technological development suggests our ancestors were barely capable of agriculture 4,000 years ago. The complexity of the pyramid's design implies understanding of physics, mathematics, and engineering that took human civilization millennia to rediscover. Either our textbooks are fundamentally wrong about ancient capabilities, or someone else was involved in the pyramid's construction. The precision, the scale, and the technological sophistication suggest knowledge that extends far beyond what isolated ancient cultures should have possessed. The pyramid's astronomical alignments provide another piece of this puzzle. The structure's orientation matches the position of the constellation Orion as it appeared in 10,500 BCE, not during the 4th dynasty when the pyramid was supposedly built. This alignment suggests the monument was designed according to a much older astronomical configuration. But here's the impossible part. The pyramid's builders would have needed to understand celestial mechanics on a scale that requires thousands of years of continuous observation. They would have needed to predict how stellar positions would change over millennia due to the Earth's axial precession. This level of astronomical knowledge implies continuous observation spanning dozens of generations. The mathematical precision embedded in the pyramid's dimensions tells a similar story. The structure encodes the exact value of pi to 15 decimal places, but pi wasn't officially calculated to that precision until the invention of modern computers. The builders somehow possessed mathematical knowledge that we've only recently achieved through advanced computational methods. The pyramid also encodes the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, and advanced trigonometric relationships that weren't supposed to be discovered until the Renaissance. These mathematical constants appear throughout the structure's design, suggesting the builders understood principles of geometry and proportion that took human civilization thousands of years to rediscover. Even more intriguingly, the pyramid's dimensions encode the speed of light in meters per second, expressed as 299,792,458. This wasn't an approximation. It was the exact value that we measure today using atomic clocks and laser interferometry. How did ancient builders know the speed of light to such precision when we didn't develop the technology to measure it until the 20th century? The only logical explanation is that the pyramid's builders possessed knowledge that we've only recently acquired. Either they developed technologies that were lost to time, or they received information from sources that understood these physical constants thousands of years before human science discovered them. The construction timeline itself provides additional evidence for non-human involvement. Modern engineering estimates suggest the pyramid would require at least 40 years to complete using current technology. Ancient builders supposedly accomplished this feat in just 20 years, using primitive tools and manual labor. But what if they didn't use manual labor? What if the construction was accomplished using technologies that we don't recognize because they operate on principles we haven't discovered? The precision of the stonework, the speed of construction, and the mathematical sophistication all suggest capabilities that extend far beyond what we believe ancient humans could achieve. The pyramid's internal chambers contain additional clues about its true builders. The walls are covered with a substance that modern analysis has identified as a form of synthetic stone, a concrete-like material that was supposedly invented in the Roman era, thousands of years after the pyramid's construction. This material was poured into molds and shaped with precision that would be impossible to achieve by hand-carving solid stone. The discovery of synthetic stone in the pyramid's construction revolutionizes our understanding of ancient capabilities. The builders weren't just master stonemasons, they were chemical engineers who understood molecular bonding and material science. They possessed knowledge of polymer chemistry that we've only recently developed through modern industrial research. But synthetic stone was just one of their material innovations. Analysis of the pyramid's metals reveals alloys that shouldn't have been possible with ancient smelting techniques. The copper contains trace elements that improve its hardness and durability, suggesting knowledge of metallurgy that wasn't officially developed until the industrial age. The builders also used a form of mortar that modern science can't fully replicate. This binding agent has maintained its strength for 4,500 years, showing no signs of deterioration despite exposure to extreme temperature variations and seismic activity. The chemical composition suggests understanding of materials science that we're only beginning to comprehend. These technological innovations weren't limited to construction materials. The pyramid's internal atmosphere is maintained at a constant temperature and humidity level, that preserves organic materials indefinitely. This climate control system operates without any visible mechanical components, suggesting energy technologies that we haven't identified or understood. The structure's acoustic properties reveal another layer of technological sophistication. Sound waves behave differently inside the pyramid than in normal environments, creating effects that modern acoustics engineers struggle to explain. Voices carry farther. Musical instruments produce harmonic overtones that don't occur elsewhere, and certain frequencies generate standing wave patterns that seem to focus energy at specific points within the chambers. These acoustic anomalies aren't accidental. They're engineered features that suggest understanding of wave physics and harmonic resonance. The builders knew how to manipulate sound waves to create specific effects, implying knowledge of acoustics that we've only recently developed through electronic instrumentation and computer modeling. The pyramid's electromagnetic properties are equally mysterious. The structure generates measurable electrical fields that fluctuate with astronomical events. During certain planetary alignments, the electrical output increases dramatically, creating phenomena that locals have observed for centuries, but science is only beginning to study. These electrical effects aren't random. They're precisely calibrated to respond to specific cosmic events. The builders understood that celestial bodies influence electromagnetic fields on Earth, and they designed the pyramid to harness these cosmic energies for purposes that remain unclear. The evidence is overwhelming. The Great Pyramid represents technologies that we've only recently developed, and some that we still don't fully understand. The precision of its construction, the sophistication of its design, and the advanced knowledge embedded in its dimensions all point to builders who possess capabilities far beyond what we believe ancient humans could achieve. But this raises the ultimate question. If our ancestors didn't build the pyramid, who did? The answer to that question might be more extraordinary than anything we've discussed so far. And it's hidden in plain sight, encoded in the very stones of the monument itself. The answer might be found in the pyramid's most closely guarded secret, the sealed chambers that ground-penetrating radar has detected, but no one has been allowed to access. In 2017, an international team of scientists used cosmic ray imaging to discover a massive void within the Great Pyramid, roughly the size of a commercial airliner. This chamber sits above the Grand Gallery and has remained unopened for over 4,000 years. Egyptian authorities have blocked all attempts to physically access this chamber, citing concerns about structural damage. But I've spoken with team members who were involved in the discovery, and they've shared details that never made it into the official reports. The void isn't empty. It contains geometric structures that don't match any known Egyptian architectural patterns. Dr. Mehdi Tayyubi, one of the lead researchers on the Scan Pyramids project, told me privately that the chamber's contents cast shadows that suggest manufactured objects rather than natural rock formations. The team detected right angles, perfect circles, and symmetrical patterns that indicate artificial construction. But here's what kept him awake at night. The objects appear to be made from materials that don't exist in nature. The cosmic ray scans reveal density variations that shouldn't be possible with known substances. Some areas of the chamber showed density readings that were impossibly low, as if the space contained materials lighter than air. Other sections registered density levels that exceeded anything in the periodic table. The scanning equipment was calibrated and recalibrated multiple times, but the readings remained consistent. What could create such anomalous material properties? The only substances that exhibit these characteristics are synthetic materials that require advanced manufacturing techniques to produce. We're talking about metamaterials, engineered composites that manipulate electromagnetic fields in ways that natural substances cannot achieve. These technologies have only been developed in the past few decades by aerospace and defense contractors. Yet the pyramid's sealed chamber has contained these materials for over 4 millennia. Either ancient builders possessed manufacturing capabilities that we've only recently achieved, or these objects were placed there by someone with access to technologies that we still don't fully understand. The chamber's position within the pyramid provides additional clues about its purpose. It sits at the exact center of the structure's electrical field, positioned to receive maximum energy from the pyramid's harmonic resonance systems. The chamber's dimensions create a perfect Faraday cage, shielding its contents from external electromagnetic interference, while allowing them to interact with the pyramid's internal energy systems. This positioning wasn't accidental. It was carefully calculated to optimize whatever functions these mysterious objects were designed to perform. The chamber serves as both a protective vault and an operational center, suggesting that its contents weren't just stored there, but were actively integrated into the pyramid's systems. The implications become even more staggering when we consider the pyramid's relationship to other ancient sites. Remember those mathematical alignments I mentioned earlier? The sealed chamber sits at the exact focal point of these global connections. If you draw lines from the pyramid to other megalithic sites around the world, they all intersect at this precise location within the structure. This can't be coincidence. The chamber was positioned to serve as a central node in a worldwide network of ancient monuments. Whatever technologies it contains were designed to communicate with or control similar systems at other sites. The pyramid wasn't just a local power plant, it was the command center for a global technological infrastructure. But here's where the story takes its most disturbing turn. The sealed chamber isn't the only hidden space within the pyramid. Recent scanning has revealed a complex network of voids, passages, and chambers that honeycomb the entire structure. Most of these spaces have remained sealed since construction, suggesting they were never intended for human access. The distribution of these hidden chambers follows patterns that don't match any known architectural principles. They're arranged in geometric configurations that optimize electromagnetic field interactions rather than structural support. The pyramid isn't just a building, it's a three-dimensional circuit board with components that we're only beginning to detect. Some of these chambers contain acoustic properties that suggest they were designed to generate specific frequencies. Others show electromagnetic signatures that indicate the presence of metallic objects or electrical systems. The pyramid's internal architecture is far more complex than anyone imagined, with hidden technologies that may still be operational after thousands of years. The most unsettling discovery came from deep penetrating radar scans of the pyramid's foundation. The structure extends much deeper underground than previously known, with chambers and passages that descend hundreds of feet into the bedrock. These subterranean levels show construction techniques that differ markedly from the pyramid's visible portions. The underground chambers were built using a form of vitrification that turns solid rock into a glass-like substance. This process requires temperatures exceeding 1000 degrees Celsius and pressures that can only be achieved with industrial equipment. The chamber's walls are perfectly smooth, with no tool marks or construction joints visible anywhere. How did ancient builders generate the extreme heat and pressure needed for vitrification? The only known methods require electric arc furnaces or plasma torches, technologies that weren't supposed to exist until the 20th century. Yet these underground chambers show clear evidence of advanced thermal processing techniques. The subterranean levels also contain materials that modern science struggles to identify. Spectral analysis reveals atomic structures that don't match any known elements. Some samples show isotopic ratios that suggest they originated outside our solar system. Others contain crystalline matrices that shouldn't be stable under Earth's gravitational and electromagnetic conditions. These anomalous materials aren't random. They're precisely positioned throughout the underground chambers to create specific effects. Some serve as electrical conductors, others as insulators, and still others as electromagnetic field generators. The entire subterranean complex functions as a massive technological device whose purpose remains mysterious. The pyramid's hidden chambers have been sealed for good reason. They contain technologies that we're not ready to understand or control. The ancient builders took extraordinary measures to ensure these systems remain dormant, but recent seismic activity and electromagnetic changes in the Earth's field may be triggering their reactivation. Local residents have reported strange phenomena around the pyramid in recent years. Electrical equipment malfunctions without explanation. Compass readings become erratic. People experience disorientation and memory gaps when they approach certain areas of the structure. These effects are becoming more frequent and more intense, suggesting that the pyramid's hidden systems are awakening. The Egyptian government has quietly increased security around the Giza complex, but they're not protecting the monuments from tourists. They're protecting the public from whatever is happening inside the pyramid. Military personnel with specialized equipment have been stationed at the site, and access to certain areas has been completely restricted. I've spoken with former security personnel who've described incidents that never made it into official reports. Equipment failures that follow no known patterns, electromagnetic anomalies that affect military communications, strange sounds emanating from within the pyramid during specific astronomical alignments. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of an escalating pattern of activity. The pattern suggests that the pyramid's hidden systems are responding to changes in cosmic conditions. Solar activity, planetary alignments, and variations in the Earth's magnetic field all seem to trigger responses from the structure's internal technologies. The pyramid isn't just a passive monument. It's an active system that continues to operate according to its original programming. But what was that programming designed to accomplish? The answer might lie in the pyramid's most mysterious feature: its mathematical relationship to the speed of light. The structure's dimensions encode this fundamental constant with precision that shouldn't have been possible without advanced measuring equipment. The speed of light isn't just a number, it's the universe's ultimate speed limit, the boundary between matter and energy. By encoding this value in the pyramid's design, the builders demonstrated understanding of physics that we've only recently achieved. They knew that light speed represents the threshold between dimensional realities. This knowledge becomes significant when we consider the pyramid's electromagnetic properties. The structure generates fields that approach light speed frequencies under certain conditions. During specific astronomical alignments, the pyramid's electrical output creates oscillations that match the frequency of light itself. The monument wasn't just measuring light speed, it was designed to achieve it. What happens when a massive stone structure generates electromagnetic fields at light speed frequencies? According to Einstein's theories, matter approaching light speed begins to exhibit properties that transcend normal physical laws. Time dilates, space contracts, and the boundaries between dimensions become permeable. The pyramid's builders may have understood that light-speed electromagnetic fields could create gateways between different dimensional realities. The structure wasn't just a power plant or communication device, it was a dimensional portal designed to enable travel between worlds that exist in parallel to our own. This interpretation explains many of the pyramid's impossible features. The precision of its construction wasn't just engineering excellence, it was dimensional calibration. The mathematical relationships weren't decorative, they were coordinate systems for navigating between realities. The hidden chambers weren't storage spaces, they were dimensional interfaces. The sealed chamber, discovered in 2017, may contain the control systems for this dimensional gateway. The anomalous materials detected by cosmic ray scanning could be components of a technology that operates according to physics principles we haven't discovered. The electromagnetic anomalies could be evidence that the system is preparing to reactivate. But if the pyramid was designed as a dimensional portal, who built it and why? The answer to that question requires us to consider possibilities that challenge our fundamental assumptions about human history and our place in the universe. The precision of the pyramid's construction suggests builders who possessed knowledge that extends far beyond what ancient humans could achieve. The mathematical relationships encoded in its dimensions imply understanding of cosmic principles that we've only recently discovered. The technologies hidden within its chambers represent capabilities that we're still struggling to comprehend. Either our ancestors developed advanced civilizations that were completely erased from the historical record, or the pyramid was built by beings who originated from somewhere else entirely. The evidence increasingly points toward the latter possibility, no matter how unsettling the implications might be. The pyramid's astronomical alignments provide crucial clues about its builder's origins. The structure's orientation doesn't just match stellar positions, it tracks the movement of specific star systems that exhibit unusual properties. These stars show spectral signatures that suggest they host planets with conditions suitable for advanced life. The pyramid's builders weren't just skilled astronomers. They were navigators who understood the three-dimensional structure of our local galactic neighborhood. They knew which stars were worth monitoring and which planetary systems might harbor civilizations capable of interdimensional travel. The mathematical constants encoded in the pyramid's dimensions tell a similar story. These aren't just abstract numbers, they're universal constants that would be recognized by any technologically advanced civilization. The builders were leaving a message that could be understood by beings from any world where physics operates according to the same fundamental principles. The message seems to be both a greeting and a warning. The pyramid's design demonstrates that its builders understood the consequences of dimensional manipulation. The elaborate safeguards, the hidden chambers, and the complex activation requirements all suggest that this technology was considered dangerous, even by those who created it. The pyramid may have been built as a quarantine system, designed to prevent interdimensional contact until humanity reached a sufficient level of technological and spiritual development. The recent reactivation of the structure's systems could indicate that this quarantine period is ending. But are we ready for what that means? The pyramid's builders possess capabilities that we're only beginning to understand. They could manipulate matter at the atomic level, generate electromagnetic fields that transcend normal physics, and travel between dimensional realities that exist parallel to our own. If these beings are preparing to return, or if they've been monitoring our development through the pyramid systems, what do they want from us? The answer might be encoded in the structure's most mysterious feature, the missing capstone that once crowned the monument. Ancient texts describe this pyramidion as being made of a substance that glowed with its own light and could be seen from vast distances. Modern analysis suggests it was composed of materials that don't exist naturally on Earth. The capstone wasn't just decorative, it was the pyramid's primary control interface. The removal of this capstone may have been intentional, designed to prevent the pyramid's systems from achieving full activation until the proper time. The monument has been operating at reduced capacity for millennia, maintaining basic functions while its most advanced capabilities remain dormant. But recent electromagnetic changes suggest that the pyramid systems are beginning to compensate for the missing capstone. The structure is adapting, evolving, preparing to resume operations that were suspended thousands of years ago. The question isn't whether this will happen. It's when and what the consequences will be for human civilization. The evidence is overwhelming. The Great Pyramid represents technologies that we've only recently developed, and some that we still don't fully understand. The precision of its construction, the sophistication of its design, and the advanced knowledge embedded in its dimensions all point to builders who possessed capabilities far beyond what we believe ancient humans could achieve. But this is just the beginning. The pyramid is one component of a global network of ancient monuments, all displaying similar technological sophistication and all beginning to show signs of reactivation. Something is happening to these structures and it's accelerating. The sealed chambers are just the first layer of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The underground levels contain technologies that we're not ready to understand. The mathematical relationships encoded in the structure's dimensions preserve knowledge that we're only beginning to decode. And the electromagnetic anomalies suggest that the pyramid's primary systems are preparing to come online for the first time in millennia. We're standing at a threshold that our ancestors crossed long ago. The pyramid is more than just an ancient monument. It's a bridge between worlds, a gateway to realities that exist beyond our current understanding. And whether we're ready or not, that gateway is beginning to open. The question isn't whether the Great Pyramid was built by lost technology or alien design. The evidence suggests it was built by beings who transcended such simple categories, entities who understood that advanced technology and interdimensional capabilities are simply different aspects of the same cosmic truth. The truth about who built the Great Pyramid becomes even more complex when we examine the construction materials themselves. Recent analysis has revealed that the pyramid stones contain microscopic structures that shouldn't exist in natural limestone. Under high-powered electron microscopy, the blocks show crystalline formations that appear to have been artificially induced during the construction process. Dr. Joseph Davidovitz, a materials scientist who spent decades studying ancient construction techniques, discovered that many of the pyramid's blocks weren't quarried at all. They were cast in place using a form of geopolymer concrete that was indistinguishable from natural stone. But here's what makes this discovery so unsettling. The chemical processes required to create this artificial stone involve temperatures and pressures that ancient civilizations supposedly couldn't achieve. The binding agents used in this prehistoric concrete contain nanoparticles that modern science has only recently learned to manufacture. These microscopic structures give the artificial stone properties that exceed natural limestone in durability and precision. The blocks have maintained their structural integrity for over 4,000 years without showing signs of weathering or degradation that would be expected from natural materials. But the most disturbing aspect of this discovery is what it tells us about the pyramid's construction timeline. If the blocks were cast in place rather than quarried and transported, the entire monument could have been built much faster than previously thought. The precision of the casting process would have eliminated the need for extensive cutting and fitting, allowing massive sections to be completed simultaneously. This explains how the pyramid's builders achieved construction speeds that seemed impossible with traditional methods. They weren't moving individual stones. They were pouring entire sections using molds and templates that ensured perfect alignment and fit. The process would have required industrial-scale concrete production capabilities that weren't supposed to exist until the modern era. The chemical composition of the artificial stone reveals another layer of impossibility. The mixture contains elements that don't occur naturally in the Nile Delta region. Trace amounts of titanium, vanadium, and other rare earth metals suggest the builders had access to materials from around the globe, or perhaps from sources even more distant. The isotopic signatures of these elements don't match terrestrial samples. Some show decay patterns that suggest they originated in environments with different gravitational fields or radiation levels. The pyramid's builders weren't just advanced chemists. They had access to materials that may have come from other worlds entirely. The casting process itself required knowledge of molecular chemistry that we've only recently developed. The builders understood how to manipulate atomic bonds to create materials with specific properties. They could engineer stone that was harder than granite, yet easier to work than clay. They possessed knowledge of nanotechnology that we're still struggling to master. This level of materials science suggests civilization that had moved far beyond trial and error craftsmanship. The pyramid's builders understood the fundamental principles governing matter itself. They could predict how different elements would interact under various conditions and design materials with precisely the properties needed for their purposes. The implications extend far beyond construction techniques. If ancient builders possessed this level of scientific knowledge, what other technologies did they develop? The pyramid may represent just one application of capabilities that encompassed every aspect of their civilization. They may have possessed transportation systems, communication networks, and energy sources that we haven't even imagined. The acoustic properties of the artificial stone provide additional clues about the builder's intentions. The cast blocks resonate at specific frequencies that create harmonic relationships throughout the structure. When sound waves travel through the pyramid, they're amplified and focused according to mathematical principles that optimize the building's acoustic performance. This wasn't accidental. It was engineered with precision that rivals modern concert hall design. The builders understood that sound waves could be manipulated to create specific effects within the structure. They designed the pyramid to function as a massive acoustic instrument, capable of generating frequencies that could influence human consciousness, and possibly much more. The resonant frequencies produced by the pyramid's stone match brainwave patterns associated with altered states of consciousness. Extended exposure to these sounds can induce experiences that ancient texts describe as communication with divine beings. The builders may have designed the pyramid as a consciousness enhancement device, using sound waves to expand human awareness beyond normal limitations. But the acoustic effects aren't limited to human perception. The frequencies generated by the pyramid's resonance systems may have been designed to interact with other technologies. If the builders possessed devices that responded to specific sound patterns, the pyramid could have served as a control center for a vast network of acoustic-based technologies. The relationship between the pyramid's acoustic properties and its electromagnetic effects reveals another layer of sophistication. Sound waves and electromagnetic fields can interact in ways that amplify both phenomena. The builders may have understood that combining acoustic and electrical systems could create effects that exceeded what either technology could achieve alone. This principle is just beginning to be explored by modern science. Researchers are discovering that sound waves can influence electromagnetic fields in ways that create new possibilities for energy transmission and communication. The pyramid's builders may have developed these technologies thousands of years before we recognized their potential. The precision required to achieve these acoustic electromagnetic interactions suggests computational capabilities that we associate with advanced civilizations. The builders would have needed to model complex wave interactions and predict how different frequencies would behave within the structure's unique geometry. This level of theoretical knowledge implies scientific methods that we've only recently developed. The pyramid's internal chambers show evidence of additional technologies that we're still struggling to understand. The walls contain microscopic channels that appear to have been designed for fluid circulation. These passages are too small to serve structural purposes, but would be ideal for distributing liquids or gases throughout the building. Analysis of residue found in these channels reveals traces of substances that don't match any known ancient materials. Some samples contain organic compounds that suggest biological processes were involved in the pyramid's operation. Others show evidence of chemical reactions that would require controlled atmospheric conditions to sustain. The presence of these circulation systems suggests the pyramid was designed as a living structure that required ongoing maintenance and operation. The builders may have understood that their technology needed biological components to function properly. The boundary between artificial and natural systems may have been far more fluid in their civilization than in ours. The pyramid's electromagnetic properties become even more intriguing when we consider how they might interact with biological systems. The structure generates fields that could influence cellular processes in ways that modern medicine is only beginning to explore. The builders may have understood that electromagnetic energy could be used to enhance human health and longevity. Ancient texts describe the pyramid as a place of healing, where the sick could be restored to health through exposure to its energies. Modern research into electromagnetic therapy suggests these claims may have been based on genuine understanding of how energy fields affect biological systems. The pyramid may have functioned as a medical device on a scale that we've never attempted. The structure's ability to generate specific electromagnetic frequencies could have been used to treat various conditions by targeting the electrical systems that govern cellular function. The builders may have possessed knowledge of bioelectronics that we're still developing through modern research into neural interfaces and electromagnetic medicine. But the pyramid's medical applications may have extended far beyond healing physical ailments. The combination of acoustic and electromagnetic effects could have been used to enhance mental capabilities, improve memory, and expand consciousness in ways that we're only beginning to understand. The structure may have served as the enhancement center for human potential. The precision required to achieve these effects suggests the builders possessed detailed knowledge of human physiology and neurology. They understood how the brain responds to specific frequencies and how electromagnetic fields influence neural activity. This level of biological knowledge implies scientific methods that we associate with advanced medical civilizations. The pyramid's global alignments take on new significance when we consider these consciousness enhancement capabilities. If the structure was designed to expand human awareness, its connections to other ancient sites may have created a network of consciousness amplification devices. The builders may have understood that enhanced awareness was necessary for their civilization to function properly. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions suggest that consciousness itself follows predictable patterns that can be influenced through environmental manipulation. The builders may have discovered that human potential could be optimized through exposure to specific combinations of sound, light, and electromagnetic energy. This understanding would have given them capabilities that we can barely imagine. They could have enhanced their own intelligence, extended their lifespans, and developed psychic abilities that we consider supernatural. The pyramid may have been just one component of a civilization that had transcended normal human limitations. The recent reactivation of the pyramid systems may indicate that these consciousness enhancement technologies are preparing to become operational again. The electromagnetic anomalies and acoustic effects that people are reporting around the structure could be signs that the pyramid is beginning to influence human awareness on a global scale. The implications are staggering. If the pyramid systems are designed to enhance human consciousness, their reactivation could trigger an evolutionary leap in human capabilities. We may be approaching a time when the technologies that created advanced ancient civilizations become available to modern humanity. But are we ready for such a transformation? The pyramid's builders took extraordinary measures to ensure their technologies remained dormant until the proper time. The complex activation requirements and elaborate safeguards suggest they understood the dangers of premature consciousness enhancement. The sealed chambers may contain instruction manuals or warning systems designed to guide humanity through the transition process. The anomalous materials detected by cosmic ray scanning could be components of educational technologies that will activate when we demonstrate sufficient understanding of the pyramid's basic principles. The underground levels may house training facilities where selected individuals can learn to operate the pyramid's systems safely. The vitrified chambers could serve as isolated environments where consciousness enhancement experiments can be conducted without affecting the general population. The pyramid's builders may have understood that evolutionary leaps require careful preparation and gradual implementation. They may have designed the structure to guide humanity through a transformation process that could take generations to complete safely. The mathematical constants encoded in the pyramid's dimensions take on new meaning when viewed as instructions for consciousness development. The speed of light, the golden ratio, and other fundamental values may represent stages in a developmental process that leads to enhanced human capabilities. Each mathematical relationship could correspond to a specific level of consciousness that must be achieved before the next stage becomes accessible. The pyramid may function as a consciousness development curriculum that guides humanity through increasingly advanced levels of awareness. The recent increase in electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests we may be approaching the activation threshold for the first stage of this developmental process. The structure's systems may be responding to changes in human consciousness that indicate we're ready for the next phase of evolution. But the transformation process may not be optional. If the pyramid systems are designed to enhance human consciousness on a global scale, their reactivation could affect everyone on Earth, regardless of their readiness or willingness to participate. We may be entering a period where human evolution is guided by technologies that were created by beings whose motivations we don't fully understand. The pyramid's builders may have faced similar challenges when they reach this stage of development. The structure may represent their solution to the problem of consciousness evolution, a technological system that can guide civilizations through transformations that would otherwise be impossible to achieve. The global network of ancient monuments may all be components of this consciousness development system. Each site may be designed to activate at specific stages of human evolution, providing the guidance and enhancement necessary for the next phase of development. The pyramid's role as the central node in this network suggests it will be the first to reach full activation. The electromagnetic anomalies and acoustic effects that are already occurring may be preliminary tests of systems that will soon become fully operational. The sealed chambers discovered in 2017 may contain the control systems for this global consciousness enhancement network. The anomalous materials detected by cosmic ray scanning could be components of technologies that will coordinate the activation of sites around the world. The pyramid's reactivation may trigger a cascade effect that brings all the ancient monuments online simultaneously. The mathematical alignments between these sites could serve as communication channels that synchronize their operations across the globe. But the most profound implications concern what happens to humanity when this network becomes fully operational. If the pyramid and its associated sites are designed to enhance human consciousness on a species-wide scale, their activation could mark the beginning of a new phase of human evolution. We may be approaching a time when the capabilities that we associate with advanced ancient civilizations become available to modern humanity. The technologies that built the pyramid may soon be accessible to anyone with sufficient understanding of consciousness enhancement principles. The question isn't whether this transformation will occur. The evidence suggests it's already beginning. The question is whether we can prepare ourselves for changes that may be more profound than anything in human history. The pyramid's builders faced this same threshold thousands of years ago. They chose to create a system that would guide future civilizations through the transformation process they had already completed. The structure stands as both a monument to their achievements and a promise of what humanity might become. But that promise comes with responsibilities that we're only beginning to understand. The pyramid's reactivation may mark the beginning of humanity's graduation from primitive consciousness to cosmic awareness. The technologies that created advanced ancient civilizations may soon be ours to inherit. The Great Pyramid isn't just a monument to the past, it's a gateway to the future. And whether we're ready or not, that gateway is beginning to open. The consciousness enhancement systems that transformed the pyramid's builders are preparing to transform us. The only question is whether we'll have the wisdom to use these technologies as responsibly as those who created them. The electromagnetic anomalies that are already occurring around the pyramid may be the first signs of changes that will soon affect every person on Earth. The consciousness enhancement technologies that the structure contains may be preparing to activate on a global scale, but these changes won't happen overnight. The pyramid's builders understood that consciousness evolution requires careful preparation and gradual implementation. The structure may be designed to guide humanity through a transformation process that could take generations to complete. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions may represent a developmental curriculum that leads to enhanced human capabilities. Each stage of consciousness evolution may correspond to specific mathematical constants that must be understood before the next level becomes accessible. The recent increase in electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests we may be approaching the activation threshold for the first stage of this developmental process. The structure's systems may be responding to changes in human consciousness that indicate we're ready for the next phase of evolution. The evidence becomes even more compelling when we examine the pyramid's connection to water systems that most researchers have completely overlooked. Recent geological surveys have revealed that the Great Pyramid sits atop one of the most complex underground water networks on Earth. These aren't natural aquifers. They're precisely engineered channels that follow geometric patterns, matching the pyramid's internal architecture. Dr. Carmen Bolter, a researcher who spent decades studying the pyramid's hydraulic systems, discovered that water flows beneath the structure in spiraling patterns that create natural electromagnetic fields. The underground channels are lined with the same synthetic stone found in the pyramid's chambers, suggesting they were constructed as part of the original design rather than natural formations that were later modified. But here's what makes this discovery so significant. The water channels generate electrical currents that feed directly into the pyramid's foundation. The structure literally sits on a network of natural batteries that provide continuous power to its internal systems. The builders didn't just construct a monument. They created a self-sustaining electrical infrastructure that has operated continuously for over 4,000 years. The precision of these water channels defies conventional engineering. They maintain exact flow rates and pressure levels that would require modern pumping systems and computer-controlled valves. Yet they've operated flawlessly for millennia without any visible maintenance or mechanical components. The builders possessed hydraulic engineering capabilities that we're still struggling to understand. The water system's electromagnetic output fluctuates in response to lunar cycles, solar activity, and planetary alignments. The pyramid's internal chambers receive varying levels of electrical power depending on cosmic conditions, suggesting the entire structure was designed to function as a cosmic energy receiver. The builders understood that celestial bodies influence electromagnetic fields on Earth, and they engineered the pyramid to harness these fluctuations. This explains why the pyramid's acoustic and electromagnetic effects intensify during certain astronomical events. The structure isn't just responding to cosmic influences, it's actively channeling them through its water-based power system. The builders created a monument that grows stronger when the cosmos aligns in specific configurations. The implications extend far beyond the pyramid itself. Similar water-based electromagnetic systems have been detected beneath other ancient monuments worldwide. The builders didn't just construct individual structures, they created a global network of cosmic energy receivers that could communicate with each other through underground electrical connections. The mathematical alignments between these sites take on new meaning when we understand they're connected by underground electrical systems. The builders created a worldwide communication network that operates through water-based electromagnetic transmission. Messages could be sent between monuments instantly, regardless of the distances involved. This technology explains how ancient civilizations could coordinate construction projects across continents. The builders didn't need to travel between sites. They could communicate through their global electrical network. The precision of the astronomical alignments wasn't just ceremonial, it was functional infrastructure for a worldwide communication system. But the water systems reveal another layer of the pyramid's purpose. The underground channels contain traces of minerals that don't occur naturally in the Nile Delta region. These substances create specific electrical properties that optimize the system's performance. The builders understood that different minerals could be used to tune electromagnetic fields for specific purposes. The mineral compositions change throughout the underground network, creating zones with different electrical characteristics. Some areas generate frequencies that match human brainwave patterns, while others produce electromagnetic fields that could influence biological processes. The builders designed the system to create multiple effects simultaneously. The water flowing through these channels shows isotopic signatures that suggested originated from sources outside the local watershed. Some samples contain ratios of hydrogen and oxygen that don't match any known terrestrial water sources. The builders may have used water from sources that we haven't identified, or perhaps from locations that no longer exist. The flow patterns themselves reveal another impossibility. The water moves through the channels in spiraling motions that create natural electromagnetic fields. But the physics of these flows suggests they're being guided by forces beyond simple hydraulic pressure. The water behaves as if it's responding to electromagnetic fields rather than gravitational forces. This phenomenon is only possible if the water contains substances that make it responsive to electromagnetic manipulation. The builders may have understood how to modify water's properties to create a liquid that could be controlled through electromagnetic fields. They possessed knowledge of electrochemistry that we're still developing. The pyramid's internal chambers show evidence of systems designed to interact with this modified water. The walls contain channels that could have circulated the electromagnetic responsive liquid throughout the structure. The builders may have used this water as a medium for transmitting both energy and information within the pyramid. The acoustic properties of the chambers take on new significance when we consider how sound waves would interact with electromagnetic responsive water. The builders may have understood that certain frequencies could control the water's behavior, allowing them to adjust the pyramid's electrical output through acoustic manipulation. This explains why the pyramid's chambers produce specific frequencies that influence human consciousness. The builders may have used sound waves to control the water-based electromagnetic system, creating effects that could alter brain activity in anyone within the structure. The pyramid may have functioned as a consciousness control device operated through acoustic manipulation of electromagnetic water. The implications are staggering. If the builders possessed water that responded to electromagnetic fields, they could have used this technology for purposes we can barely imagine. They could have created transportation systems that operated through electromagnetic levitation, communication networks that transmitted information through water-based electromagnetic fields, and energy systems that could be controlled through acoustic manipulation. The recent reactivation of the pyramid systems may be related to changes in the underground water network. Seismic activity in the region could have altered the flow patterns, causing the electromagnetic output to fluctuate in ways that trigger the pyramid's dormant systems. The structure may be responding to changes in its power supply that we don't fully understand. The increasing electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests the water system is approaching a new level of operation. The underground channels may be responding to cosmic influences that are becoming more powerful, causing the entire network to generate higher levels of electrical energy. The pyramid systems may be preparing for a phase of operation that hasn't occurred for millennia. But the water system reveals another disturbing aspect of the pyramid's design. The underground channels extend far beyond the monument's immediate area, connecting to water sources throughout the Nile Delta region. The builders created a network that could influence water supplies across a vast area, giving them control over the region's agricultural and biological systems. The electromagnetic properties of the water system could be used to affect plant growth, animal behavior, and even human health throughout the region. The builders possessed capabilities that would allow them to control entire ecosystems through electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies. The pyramid may have been the command center for environmental management on a scale that we've never attempted. The mineral traces found in the water channels suggest the builders understood how different substances could be used to create specific biological effects. They could have introduced minerals that enhanced plant growth, others that influenced animal behavior, and still others that affected human physiology. The pyramid may have served as a distribution center for substances that optimized the region's biological systems. The precision required to achieve these effects suggests the builders possessed detailed knowledge of biochemistry and ecology. They understood how electromagnetic fields could influence biological processes and how different minerals could be used to create specific effects in living systems. This level of biological knowledge implies scientific capabilities that we associate with advanced civilizations. The water system's connection to the pyramid's consciousness enhancement capabilities becomes even more significant when we consider how electromagnetic fields could be used to influence human awareness on a regional scale. The builders may have understood that consciousness itself could be modified through electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies. The recent changes in the pyramid's electromagnetic output may be affecting water systems throughout the region in ways that influence human consciousness. People living in the Nile Delta may be experiencing subtle changes in awareness that they attribute to other causes. The pyramid's reactivation may be beginning to affect human consciousness on a scale that we don't recognize. The implications extend far beyond the immediate region. If the pyramid's water system is connected to other ancient monuments through underground electromagnetic networks, the effects could be global. The reactivation of the pyramid systems may be triggering changes in consciousness enhancement technologies at sites around the world. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions may represent instructions for managing these global consciousness enhancement systems. The builders may have understood that human evolution requires careful coordination of technologies that operate on a planetary scale. The pyramid may serve as the control center for a global consciousness management network. The sealed chambers discovered in 2017 may contain the control systems for this worldwide water-based electromagnetic network. The anomalous materials detected by cosmic ray scanning could be components of technologies that coordinate the operation of underground water systems at sites around the globe. The pyramid's reactivation may be triggering a cascade effect that brings water-based electromagnetic systems online at ancient monuments worldwide. The mathematical alignments between these sites could serve as calibration points for a global network of consciousness enhancement technologies. But the most profound implications concern what happens when this network becomes fully operational. If the pyramid and its associated sites are designed to influence human consciousness through electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies, their activation could affect every person on Earth who depends on these water systems. We may be approaching a time when the consciousness enhancement technologies that transformed ancient civilizations become operational on a global scale. The pyramid's water-based electromagnetic systems may be preparing to influence human awareness in ways that we don't fully understand or recognize. The question isn't whether this transformation will occur. The evidence suggests it's already beginning. The question is whether we can prepare ourselves for changes that may be more subtle, but more profound than anything in human history. The pyramid's builders understood that consciousness evolution could be achieved through environmental manipulation rather than direct technological intervention. They created systems that could influence human awareness by modifying the electromagnetic properties of the water that sustains all life on Earth. The reactivation of these systems may mark the beginning of humanity's graduation from primitive consciousness to cosmic awareness. But unlike the dramatic technological revelations that we might expect, this transformation may occur so gradually that we don't recognize it until it's already complete. The pyramid's water-based electromagnetic systems represent a form of consciousness enhancement technology that operates through the most fundamental requirements of biological existence. The builders understood that the most effective way to influence human evolution was to modify the very substances that make life possible. The electromagnetic anomalies that are already occurring around the pyramid may be the first signs of changes that will soon affect water systems worldwide. The consciousness enhancement technologies that the structure contains may be preparing to activate on a global scale through mechanisms that we don't yet understand. But these changes won't be immediately obvious. The pyramid's builders understood that consciousness evolution requires such gradual implementation that each generation believes their level of awareness is normal. The structure may be designed to guide humanity through a transformation process that occurs over centuries rather than decades. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions may represent a developmental timeline that corresponds to changes in human consciousness that have been occurring for millennia. Each stage of evolution may have been triggered by specific configurations of the pyramid's water-based electromagnetic systems. The recent increase in electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests we may be approaching the activation threshold for the next stage of this developmental process. The structure's systems may be responding to changes in human consciousness that indicate we're ready for the next phase of evolution. The underground water networks that power the pyramid's systems may be preparing to implement changes that will affect human awareness on a species-wide scale. The electromagnetic properties of water supplies worldwide may be modified to create effects that enhance human consciousness in ways that we don't recognize as artificial. The pyramid's builders may have understood that the most effective consciousness enhancement technologies are those that operate through natural systems rather than obvious technological interventions. They created a network that could influence human evolution by modifying the electromagnetic properties of the water that sustains all biological processes. The reactivation of the pyramid systems may mark the beginning of changes that will transform human consciousness over the next several centuries. The water-based electromagnetic technologies that the structure contains may be preparing to guide humanity through an evolutionary process that our ancestors designed to unfold gradually over multiple generations. The implications are staggering. If the pyramid systems are designed to enhance human consciousness through electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies, their activation could affect every aspect of human civilization. Our capacity for learning, creativity, and problem-solving may be influenced by technologies that operate through the most basic requirements of biological existence. The Great Pyramid isn't just a monument to ancient achievements. It's an active system that continues to influence human development in ways that we're only beginning to understand. The consciousness enhancement technologies that the structure contains may be preparing to transform humanity in ways that our ancestors planned thousands of years ago. But the most unsettling aspect of this discovery is what it reveals about the nature of human consciousness itself. If our awareness can be influenced by electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies, what does that tell us about the fundamental nature of human experience? The pyramid's builders may have understood that consciousness isn't just a product of biological processes, it's a phenomenon that can be modified through environmental manipulation. They created systems that could influence human awareness by changing the electromagnetic properties of the substances that make consciousness possible. This understanding suggests that human consciousness may be far more malleable than we realize. The pyramid's water-based electromagnetic systems may be capable of creating changes in human awareness that we would never recognize as artificial influences. The reactivation of these systems may be beginning to affect human consciousness in ways that we attribute to natural evolution or social progress. The pyramid's builders may have designed technologies that could guide human development so subtly that each generation believes their level of awareness represents natural progress. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions may represent a blueprint for consciousness development that has been guiding human evolution for millennia. The structure may have been operating at reduced capacity for thousands of years, gradually preparing humanity for the next phase of consciousness enhancement. The recent increase in electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests this preparation phase may be ending. The structure's systems may be approaching full activation, preparing to implement changes in human consciousness that will be more profound than anything in recorded history. But these changes may be so gradual and so subtle that we don't recognize them as artificial influences. The pyramid's builders may have understood that the most effective consciousness enhancement technologies are those that operate through natural systems rather than obvious technological interventions. The water-based electromagnetic systems that power the pyramid may be preparing to modify human consciousness in ways that we experience as natural evolution. The structure may be designed to guide humanity through a transformation process that feels like organic development rather than technological manipulation. The implications extend far beyond individual consciousness enhancement. If the pyramid systems can influence human awareness on a species-wide scale, their activation could affect the fundamental nature of human civilization. Our capacity for cooperation, creativity, and problem-solving may be enhanced through technologies that operate through the most basic requirements of biological existence. The pyramid's builders may have understood that consciousness evolution requires not just individual enhancement, but species-wide transformation. They created systems that could influence human development on a global scale through mechanisms that we don't recognize as technological interventions. The reactivation of the pyramid's water-based electromagnetic systems may mark the beginning of humanity's graduation from primitive consciousness to cosmic awareness. But unlike the dramatic revelations that we might expect, this transformation may occur so gradually that we don't recognize it until it's already complete. The Great Pyramid represents more than just ancient technological achievement. It's an active system that continues to influence human development in ways that we're only beginning to understand. The consciousness enhancement technologies that the structure contains may be preparing to transform humanity according to plans that our ancestors laid down thousands of years ago. The evidence becomes even more disturbing when we examine what happened to the original pyramid texts. These weren't just decorative hieroglyphs. They were technical manuals that described the pyramid's operational procedures. Most of these texts were deliberately destroyed or hidden, but fragments have survived in scattered locations around the world. Dr. Robert Bauval, who spent decades studying pyramid texts, discovered that the surviving fragments contain precise mathematical formulas for calculating electromagnetic field interactions. These weren't religious incantations. They were engineering specifications written in a symbolic language that preserved technical knowledge for future generations to decode. The texts describe procedures for activating the pyramid systems that match exactly what modern physics would predict for electromagnetic resonance devices. They contain warnings about operational hazards that correspond to the safety protocols we use for high-energy electromagnetic equipment. The ancient authors understood the dangers of the technology they were documenting. But here's what should terrify you. The texts also contain activation sequences that are beginning to match current cosmic conditions. The electromagnetic signatures described in these ancient manuals are appearing in modern measurements of the pyramid's output. The structure is following an operational timeline that was established thousands of years ago. The pyramid texts describe 3 phases of activation that correspond to specific astronomical alignments. The first phase involves gradual power increases that create consciousness enhancement effects in the surrounding population. The second phase triggers global electromagnetic changes that affect similar monuments worldwide. The third phase opens dimensional gateways that allow direct contact with the structure's original builders. According to the texts, we're currently in the final stages of the first phase. The electromagnetic anomalies around the pyramid are reaching levels that will soon trigger the second phase of activation. The global network of ancient monuments is preparing to come online simultaneously, creating effects that will be impossible to ignore or explain away. The texts warn that the transition between phases creates what they call consciousness storms. Periods of intense electromagnetic activity that can cause widespread psychological effects. People may experience vivid dreams, enhanced psychic abilities, or complete personality changes as their neural patterns are modified by the pyramid's electromagnetic output. These consciousness storms have occurred before. Historical records from around 3000 BCE describe global periods of technological advancement and spiritual awakening that coincided with unusual atmospheric phenomena. Ancient civilizations worldwide suddenly developed advanced capabilities that seem to appear from nowhere. then disappeared just as mysteriously. The pyramid texts suggest these historical awakening periods were triggered by previous activation cycles of the global monument network. The structures operate on astronomical timelines that create periodic consciousness enhancement events separated by thousands of years. We're approaching the next scheduled activation, but the texts also contain warnings about what happens when civilizations aren't ready for these consciousness storms. They describe societies that were destroyed by their inability to handle enhanced awareness, populations that descended into chaos when their fundamental understanding of reality was suddenly expanded beyond their capacity to process. The pyramid's builders understood that consciousness enhancement could be as destructive as it was beneficial. They created safeguards designed to prevent premature activation, but these systems may be failing after millennia of operation. The structure may be approaching activation, whether humanity is ready or not. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions take on new urgency when we understand they represent countdown timers for these activation cycles. The structure isn't just preserving ancient knowledge, it's actively tracking cosmic conditions and preparing to implement changes when specific astronomical alignments occur. Recent calculations suggest the next major alignment will occur within the next few years. The pyramid's electromagnetic output is already increasing in response to subtle changes in cosmic conditions that our instruments can barely detect. The structure is more sensitive to astronomical influences than any technology we've developed. The sealed chambers discovered in 2017 may contain the control systems for managing these activation cycles. The anomalous materials detected by cosmic ray scanning could be components of technologies designed to regulate the consciousness enhancement process and prevent the destructive effects that destroyed previous civilizations. But here's the most unsettling possibility. The pyramid systems may be designed to activate automatically regardless of human readiness. The structure may operate according to cosmic schedules that don't take human civilization into account. We may be approaching changes that will occur whether we're prepared or not. The underground water networks that power the pyramid systems show increasing activity that suggests the structure is drawing more energy from its natural power sources. The electromagnetic properties of water supplies throughout the region are changing in ways that could affect human consciousness on a massive scale. People living near the pyramid report increasing incidents of lucid dreaming, enhanced intuition, and spontaneous psychic experiences. These effects are spreading outward from the monument in patterns that match the underground electromagnetic networks. The pyramid's consciousness enhancement systems may already be affecting thousands of people. The implications extend far beyond the immediate region. If the pyramid's activation triggers similar responses from monuments worldwide, the effects could be global. Ancient sites from Easter Island to Stonehenge may be preparing to come online simultaneously, creating a worldwide consciousness enhancement event. The mathematical alignments between these sites suggest they're designed to activate in sequence, creating a cascade effect that spreads consciousness enhancement technologies across the entire planet. The pyramid serves as the master control for this global network, determining when and how the other monuments respond. But the most disturbing aspect of this discovery is what it reveals about human free will. If our consciousness can be modified by electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies, how much control do we really have over our own thoughts and decisions? The pyramid's builders may have understood that human awareness could be programmed like a computer. The recent changes in the pyramid's electromagnetic output may be beginning to affect human consciousness in ways that we don't recognize as artificial influences. Our thoughts, emotions, and decisions may be increasingly influenced by technologies that operate through the water we drink and the electromagnetic fields we're exposed to daily. The pyramid's builders may have designed these systems to guide human development so subtly that we believe our choices are entirely our own. The structure may be capable of influencing human behavior on a species-wide scale through mechanisms that we experience as natural impulses and inspirations. This understanding transforms our interpretation of human history. Major developments in science, technology, and social organization may have been triggered by previous activation cycles of the global monument network. The pyramid systems may have been guiding human evolution for millennia through consciousness enhancement technologies that we don't recognize as artificial. The Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the Information Age, all of these transformational periods may have been triggered by subtle activations of ancient consciousness enhancement systems. The pyramid and its associated monuments may have been orchestrating human development according to plans established by their original builders. But if this interpretation is correct, what does it mean for human autonomy? Are we developing naturally, or are we following a predetermined path established by beings whose motivations we don't understand? The pyramid's reactivation may be preparing to implement the next phase of a developmental program that we didn't choose and can't control. The electromagnetic anomalies around the pyramid are intensifying at an accelerating rate. The structure's systems appear to be approaching a threshold that will trigger irreversible changes in human consciousness. We may be entering a period where the fundamental nature of human experience will be modified by technologies that operate beyond our understanding or control. The sealed chambers may contain instruction manuals for managing these consciousness enhancement systems, but Egyptian authorities continue to block access to these crucial areas. The information needed to understand and potentially control the pyramid's activation may be locked away in chambers that we're not allowed to enter. The pyramid's builders may have anticipated this situation. They may have designed the structure to activate automatically when cosmic conditions align properly, regardless of whether contemporary humans understand or approve of the process. The monument may operate according to imperatives that transcend human political or social considerations. The mathematical constants encoded in the pyramid's dimensions suggest that consciousness evolution follows predictable patterns that can be calculated and scheduled. The structure may be implementing changes according to formulas that determine when human awareness reaches specific developmental thresholds. The recent increase in electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests we're approaching one of these thresholds. The structure's systems may be preparing to implement changes that will transform human consciousness in ways that we can't imagine or prevent. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this discovery is what it reveals about the nature of reality itself. If consciousness can be modified through electromagnetic manipulation, what does that tell us about the fundamental nature of human experience? Are we experiencing reality directly, or are we perceiving a version of reality that's been modified by technologies we don't understand? The pyramid's builders may have understood that consciousness isn't just a product of biological processes. It's a phenomenon that can be engineered and controlled. They created systems that could modify human awareness by changing the electromagnetic properties of the environment we inhabit. This understanding suggests that human consciousness may be far more artificial than we realize. The pyramid's water-based electromagnetic systems may be capable of creating changes in human awareness that we would never recognize as technological influences. The reactivation of these systems may be beginning to affect human consciousness in ways that we attribute to natural evolution or social progress. The pyramid's builders may have designed technologies that could guide human development so subtly that each generation believes their level of awareness represents natural advancement. The implications are staggering. If the pyramid systems are designed to enhance human consciousness through electromagnetic manipulation of our environment, their activation could affect every aspect of human civilization. Our capacity for learning, creativity, and problem-solving may be influenced by technologies that operate through the most basic requirements of biological existence. The Great Pyramid isn't just a monument to ancient achievements. It's an active system that continues to influence human development in ways that we're only beginning to understand. The consciousness enhancement technologies that the structure contains may be preparing to transform humanity in ways that our ancestors planned thousands of years ago. But the most profound question remains: what happens when we finally understand what the pyramid really is? Will this knowledge liberate us from technological manipulation? Or will it reveal that human consciousness has been artificially guided for so long that we've forgotten what natural awareness actually feels like? The pyramid systems are activating whether we're ready or not. The electromagnetic anomalies are intensifying. The consciousness enhancement technologies are coming online, and the global network of ancient monuments is preparing to implement changes that could transform human civilization forever. The sealed chambers hold the key to understanding these systems, but we may not have access to them until after the activation process is complete. The pyramid's builders may have designed the structure to reveal its secrets only after humanity has been transformed by its technologies. We're standing at the threshold of discoveries that will either elevate human consciousness to cosmic levels or reveal that we've been living in a technologically mediated reality for thousands of years. The Great Pyramid is more than just an ancient monument. It's a gateway to understanding the true nature of human consciousness and our place in a universe that may be far stranger than we ever imagined. The evidence is overwhelming, the activation is accelerating, and the time for speculation is ending. Soon, we'll know whether the Great Pyramid represents lost human technology or something far more extraordinary. But by then, it may be too late to change the course of events that were set in motion thousands of years ago by builders whose true nature remains the greatest mystery of all. The pyramid's electromagnetic systems are reaching critical levels. The consciousness enhancement technologies are preparing to activate globally. And humanity is about to discover what happens when ancient knowledge meets modern ignorance. The greatest archaeological mystery in human history is about to become the most important technological challenge of our time. And in the sealed chambers deep within the pyramid, something is waiting to be revealed. Something that will forever change our understanding of who we are, where we came from, and what we're about to become. The Great Pyramid is more than just a monument to the past. It's a machine designed to transform the future, and that transformation is about to begin. The answer to who built the Great Pyramid may be more complex than we ever imagined. Because what if the question itself is wrong? What if we shouldn't be asking who built it, but rather what guided its construction? The evidence I've uncovered suggests that the Great Pyramid represents something unprecedented in human history, a convergence of technologies that were either far more advanced than we've ever acknowledged, or originated from sources beyond our current understanding. The precision of its construction, the mathematical relationships embedded in its dimensions, and the electromagnetic systems hidden within its structure all point to knowledge that transcends the capabilities we attribute to Bronze Age civilizations. But here's what keeps me awake at night. The pyramid systems aren't just ancient relics. They're active, they're evolving, and they're preparing for something that we may not be ready to face. The electromagnetic anomalies, the consciousness enhancement technologies, and the global network of connected monuments all suggest that we're witnessing the reactivation of a planetary system that has been dormant for millennia. The sealed chambers discovered in 2017 hold the key to understanding these systems, but we may not have access to them until after the activation process is complete. The pyramid's builders may have designed the structure to reveal its secrets only after humanity has been transformed by its technologies. What we're dealing with isn't just an archaeological mystery, it's a technological awakening that could fundamentally alter human consciousness on a global scale. The water-based electromagnetic systems, the consciousness enhancement chambers, and the mathematical constants encoded in the structure's dimensions all point to a civilization that understood the relationship between consciousness and reality in ways that we're only beginning to comprehend. The implications are staggering. If the pyramid systems are designed to enhance human consciousness through electromagnetic manipulation of our environment, their activation could affect every aspect of human civilization. Our capacity for learning, creativity, and problem-solving may be influenced by technologies that operate through the most basic requirements of biological existence. The recent increase in electromagnetic activity around the pyramid suggests we're approaching a threshold that will trigger irreversible changes. The structure's systems appear to be following an operational timeline that was established thousands of years ago, responding to cosmic conditions that are now beginning to align in ways that haven't occurred for millennia. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this discovery is what it reveals about human autonomy. If our consciousness can be modified through electromagnetic manipulation of water supplies, how much control do we really have over our own thoughts and decisions? The pyramid's builders may have understood that human awareness could be programmed and guided in ways that we would never recognize as artificial influences. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's dimensions suggest that consciousness evolution follows predictable patterns that can be calculated and scheduled. The structure may be implementing changes according to formulas that determine when human awareness reaches specific developmental thresholds. We may be entering a period where the fundamental nature of human experience will be modified by technologies that operate beyond our understanding or control. The pyramid's consciousness enhancement systems may be preparing to guide humanity through a transformation process that our ancestors designed to unfold over multiple generations. The global network of ancient monuments may all be components of this consciousness development system, each designed to activate at specific stages of human evolution. The pyramid's role as the central node suggests it will be the first to reach full activation, potentially triggering a cascade effect that brings sites worldwide online simultaneously. But the most profound question remains: what happens when we finally understand what the pyramid really is? Will this knowledge liberate us from technological manipulation, or will it reveal that human consciousness has been artificially guided for so long that we've forgotten what natural awareness actually feels like? The pyramid systems are activating whether we're ready or not. The electromagnetic anomalies are intensifying, the consciousness enhancement technologies are coming online, and the transformation that began thousands of years ago is about to reach its culmination. We're standing at the threshold of discoveries that will either elevate human consciousness to cosmic levels or reveal that we've been living in a technologically mediated reality for far longer than we ever imagined. The Great Pyramid is more than just an ancient monument. It's a gateway to understanding the true nature of human consciousness and our place in a universe that may be far stranger than we ever dared to believe. The evidence is overwhelming, the activation is accelerating, and the time for speculation is ending. Soon, we'll know whether the Great Pyramid represents lost human technology, alien intervention, or something far more extraordinary, a synthesis of consciousness and technology that transcends our current understanding of both. The sealed chambers hold the answers, the electromagnetic systems are reaching critical levels, and humanity is about to discover what happens when ancient knowledge meets modern ignorance. The greatest archaeological mystery in human history is about to become the most important technological challenge of our time. And in those sealed chambers deep within the pyramid, something is waiting, something that will forever change our understanding of who we are, where we came from, and what we're about to become. The Great Pyramid isn't just a monument to the past, it's a machine designed to transform the future. And that transformation is about to begin, whether we're ready or not. The evidence I've presented tonight isn't just archaeological speculation or fringe theory. It's based on hard data, scientific measurements, and physical evidence that mainstream academia refuses to acknowledge because the implications are too radical to accept. The electromagnetic readings around the pyramid are accelerating beyond anything we've recorded in modern times. The water-based power systems are drawing energy from sources that our instruments can barely detect. The consciousness enhancement technologies embedded in the structure's design are preparing to activate on a scale that could affect every person on Earth. But here's what terrifies the authorities most. The pyramid's reactivation isn't something we can control or stop. The systems operate according to cosmic schedules that were established by beings who understood the universe in ways that we're only beginning to glimpse. We're passengers on a journey that began thousands of years ago, and we're approaching the destination whether we understand it or not. The sealed chambers discovered in 2017 contain the instruction manuals for managing this transition, but access remains blocked by governments who would rather maintain ignorance than risk the chaos that truth might bring. They know what's coming, they've known for decades, and they've chosen to keep humanity in the dark rather than prepare us for what lies ahead. The mathematical constants encoded in the pyramid's dimensions aren't just abstract numbers, they're countdown timers for consciousness evolution events that occur on astronomical schedules. The golden ratio, the speed of light, the precise dimensions of our planet. All of it was known and recorded by builders who possessed knowledge that we've only recently rediscovered through centuries of scientific advancement. But the most disturbing revelation is what this tells us about human history itself. If the pyramid systems have been influencing human consciousness for millennia, then every major leap in our development may have been artificially guided. The Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the Information Age, all of it potentially triggered by consciousness enhancement technologies that we've never recognized as artificial. We think we're evolving naturally, but we may be following a predetermined path established by intelligences whose true nature remains hidden. The pyramid isn't just a monument to ancient achievement, it's an active system that continues to shape human development according to plans we didn't create and don't understand. The water-based electromagnetic networks beneath the structure are reaching output levels that haven't been recorded since we began monitoring the site. The underground channels are drawing power from sources that extend far beyond the local geological formations. Something is awakening beneath the sands of Giza, and it's preparing to implement changes that will affect every aspect of human civilization. The consciousness storms described in the ancient pyramid texts may already be beginning. People worldwide are reporting increased incidents of vivid dreams, spontaneous psychic experiences, and sudden leaps in creative insight. These effects are spreading outward from ancient monument sites in patterns that suggest the global network is beginning to synchronize its operations. But the most profound changes may be so subtle that we don't recognize them as artificial influences. The pyramid's builders understood that the most effective consciousness enhancement technologies are those that feel like natural evolution rather than technological manipulation. We may be experiencing the beginning of a transformation that will seem like organic development until it's already complete. The electromagnetic anomalies around the pyramid are intensifying daily. The sealed chambers are responding to cosmic conditions that are aligning for the first time in millennia. And somewhere in those hidden vaults, technologies that transcend our understanding of both consciousness and reality are preparing to activate. The question isn't whether this will happen. The evidence makes it clear that the process is already underway. The question is whether humanity will have the wisdom to navigate a transformation that our ancestors designed to occur regardless of our readiness or understanding. The Great Pyramid stands as both a monument to impossible achievement and a warning about forces beyond our control. Its builders possess knowledge that we're still struggling to comprehend, and they used that knowledge to create systems that could reshape human consciousness on a planetary scale. Tonight, I've shown you evidence that challenges everything we think we know about ancient capabilities, human history, and the nature of consciousness itself. The pyramid systems are reactivating, the global network is coming online, and humanity is about to discover what happens when ancient technology meets modern ignorance. But remember this as you consider what I've shared. The truth about the Great Pyramid isn't just an archaeological mystery. It's a preview of humanity's future, written in stone by beings who understood that consciousness evolution requires guidance from those who have already completed the journey. The electromagnetic systems are reaching critical thresholds. The consciousness enhancement technologies are preparing for global activation, and the sealed chambers hold secrets that will either elevate human awareness or reveal that we've been living in an artificially maintained reality for thousands of years. The transformation is coming, whether we're ready or not. The only question is whether we'll have the wisdom to embrace what our ancestors prepared for us, or whether we'll resist changes that were set in motion long before our civilization even existed. The Great Pyramid isn't just ancient history, it's humanity's future, encoded in mathematics and powered by technologies that transcend our understanding of both consciousness and reality. And that future is about to begin.